What's up, everybody? This has been the Bearded Coffee Blogger, and I'm back today for a Sunday coffee drop. Saturday was just too crazy, couldn't get the video shot. And what we're trying today is some Guatemala home roast, and this was roasted by my good friend Malachi Smith. He's kind of got a little side business called Rad Beans, where he home roasts stuff going on. And he gave me this real recently. It was roasted on 5/15/22. And I don't know anything about it other than it's Guatemala, although I do know the people that he acquires beans from in green form definitely know how to pick good stuff. So it smells wonderful, candy-like on the nose, and I'm excited to dip into it. So again, I don't know what type of Guatemala or anything like that, but we'll do a quick coffee tasting. And I also want to talk today about how, just a quick tip that I learned for dialing in coffee and how you can dial it in. Now this is a Chemex brew. I'm switching it up. This is a Chemex 16-1 with a 4-minute brew time, like 4 minutes 10 seconds brew time. So right on the nose, right where I want it. And let's see what we smell. Ooh, a little tight initially on the nose. It's very hot. Just finished brewing. Okay, there we go. Yeah, getting some really nice, like fruity, kind of candied flavors on the nose. Maybe a little bit of caramel. Caramel, nuttiness, maybe some sort of fruit. A little brown sugar, maybe strawberry is what it is. It smells amazing. Let's taste it. Really, 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 really balanced in a great way. It's just all in there melded together. So yeah, caramel, brown sugar, a little bit of nuttiness. What I'm gonna call strawberry, perhaps, but some fruitiness, and it's just all kind of tightly bound together. So it's not like layering out the way some coffees will, where you're tasting very specifically this note, then this note, then this note, then this note. This one's just kind of all together. But what it does is it keeps it really well balanced and really enjoyable to drink. This is fantastic coffee. Getting a little pecan pie vibes with this. I think that's that kind of sugared, candied nuttiness. This is phenomenal. I don't know if you've messed with home roasting at all, but without spending a whole lot of money on tools, it's very hard to dial in the way that you would with a commercial roaster. So to get a roast that's this balanced for a home roaster, Malachi, I got to hand it to you. This is really phenomenal stuff. You have roasted this pretty much perfectly. Really, really good. There's one note there, like mid palate, that's really interesting. Just a really pleasant, maybe cantaloupe or something. A really nice, even balance. Balance is the number one characteristic I'd give this. Okay, so on to dialing in coffee. So dialing in coffee is a process of trying to, I heard somebody describe it this way the other day. You're trying to maximize like our balance between bitterness and acidity. And so you're trying to get right there. So here's how it was explained to me. And when somebody told me this, it changed everything about how I understood, dialing in a coffee or an espresso so that it tastes really, really balanced and good. When coffee extracts, so, you've ground it up and you're adding the water and you're extracting flavors. it extracts in this order. The very first flavors that coffee, and this is every coffee, extracts are the salts. So there's some natural salts in the coffee, and they extract in salts first. Then the next stage in brewing, as you continue to extract, acids begin to dissolve and extract. And so the next flavor you get are acids. The third type of thing that extracts from coffee are the natural sugars that are in the coffee bean. Remember, coffee is a fruit. It's a tropical fruit. And then the fourth flavor that extracts from coffee beans are bitters. And so if you think about that, it's always salts, acids, sugars, bitters. When we're dialing in, we're trying to dial in into this zone. We don't want it to be too acidic and we don't want it to be too bitter. We want it balanced between those two so that we're getting the natural sugars there and so that everything tastes just perfectly pleasant. Now, I know that's weird because some people say, well, all coffee is bitter. Well, yeah, in a manner of speaking, you're right. But in the coffee world, we're trying to get between acids and bitters to that natural sweetness. And there's bitter bad coffee, and then there's just coffee's general flavor profile. They're not quite the same. So when you are brewing coffee or when you're brewing espresso, there's all these different factors that you can adjust to try to help maximize and get in that sugar zone. The more heat that's added, adds to extraction. So the more heat that's added, the more you're going to extract. The finer your grind setting, the longer the water is going to stay in contact with the coffee because it's harder for it to get through, and the more you're going to extract. Just a longer brew time in general, the more you're going to extract. So when you're dialing in a recipe, you're trying to figure it out. I try to leave all the parameters, I try to get them close, and then I try to leave them all the same and just adjust one at a time. For home brewing, I'm typically just adjusting the grind size. I know my brew parameters. I really love 16:1, so I always do 16:1. I always do 205 degree water. And I honestly always do the same brew size so that even that's consistent. I always do 25 grams of beans and 400 grams of water. Again, that's 16:1. I do that every single time. And then I pay attention to how long it's brewing. And if it goes over 4 minutes, I tend to think that's too long. It's probably going to over extract in most cases. And so I will take my grind just a little bit coarser to try to lessen the brew time. If the brew time is too quick, say it's 2.5 minutes, then it may be a little bit acidic. It hasn't extracted enough. It's still in the acid zone and it's not moved up into the sugar zone. And so I'll usually make my grind size finer to increase extraction so that the water and the coffee stay in contact with each other longer. That's basically, and there's other factors that you can pressure in espresso or sometimes brewing. If you add pressure, that's going to increase extraction. But all these things, affect your coffee. And dialing in, what I would say is leave every single thing alone and just adjust one parameter. In my case, I really like to adjust grind size to try to nail down an ideal brew time. And this goes for, kind of any style of brewing. Find a recipe online that's close and then leave everything alone and adjust grind. And you will find that with a couple trials, you'll be able to either figure out, this coffee's over extracting, it's too bitter, or it's under extracting, it's too sour and salty. Now, sometimes when people taste acidity for the first time in coffee, they think that's bitter, but it's not. So really, if it's kind of like sharp and salty sour, that's under extraction, that's sourness. If it's almost chemical and over extracted, and even like, especially with darker coffees, like burnt rubber tasting, that's over extracting. You've gone too far. Sometimes you can get almost like too much fruit. It's almost like overripe fruit sometimes when you over extract with a lighter coffee as well. So you just kind of keep that in mind. It always extracts in that order. It always extracts salts, acids, sugars, bitters, and you're trying to get in the sugar zone. Then with some practice, just tasting different coffees, you can kind of begin to learn what a properly extracted coffee tastes like. Taste them at your coffee shop. They've got it dialed in. And learn what good coffees taste like, and then go home and try to mimic it. So little helpful tip. I don't want to keep us here any longer. But you know, Malachi, dude, this Guatemala is kicking tail. Hope you guys have a good Sunday. I will see you later. This has been the Bearded Coffee Blogger, and what's up? Out.